Hello everyone, welcome to Analytic Solutions channel. In this VBA tips and tricks FSO objects, we'll be learning about how to create file system objects. In the previous video, we saw the brief description of what is FSO objects and what are the uses of FSO objects. Now in this chapter, we'll see how to create these file system objects or FSO. FSOs can be created in two different ways. One is by early binding or a late binding. The early binding means you can use the reference method and then create this file system objects, or you can use late binding by using a create object method. So how to create the file system object by using this early binding method? So for this, you'll have to use the reference in VB editor and enable Microsoft scripting runtime. And then we have to use a new keyword to assign the variable. Let's see how to create the object by using this early binding, that is by reference. Let's go to our Excel, say Alt F11. Here I've given few examples which will be shared with you for later reference. Now first we'll see how we can create the FSO objects with early binding. So for this, what you have to do, you have to go to this tools, reference, and then you'll have to scroll down to get the Microsoft scripting runtime. You can see this here. Select this Microsoft scripting runtime. Enable this and say OK. Let's go and create one module and see how we can actually create this FSO. Sub FSO early binding 1. Say dim FSO as file system objects. If I've enabled the reference here as Microsoft scripting runtime, then I'll get this data type, that is FSO. Then next, I'll say set FSO equals new file system object. You have to use this new keyword for assigning the object. Next, suppose if you want to use this, say message box FSO dot, let's say get base name this workbook dot path. This will just give me the base name of the path whatever you have specified. Now I mentioned this workbook dot path. Let's execute. So this will give me the base name, that is file system object is the folder name. This is one way of creating the file system object. Let's see another way in the early binding itself, that is sub FSO early binding second method. We can directly use this new while declaring the variable like this file system object. Say now I don't have to set this variable because I've already mentioned here new while declaring itself. Now I can directly use this message box FSO dot get base name. So this workbook dot path. Let's execute this and I'll get the result here. That is the base name. This is the method using early binding. Right. Let's go back to our presentation and see what is the next method. The next method is create object method. So in this, we will declare the variable as an object and then we'll be creating an object that is file system object. Right. Let's go and check how to use this late binding method for creating FSO object. Say sub FSO late binding. Let's declare our variable as object. Now While assigning the variable, we have to use set FSO equals create object and say scripting dot file system object. Now I can use this similarly what we have done here, say message box FSO dot get base name this workbook dot path. Let's execute this. I'll get the similar kind of results. So I can use both early binding or late binding method. But if you're using this early binding method, so I will be getting the IntelliSense, that is this window wherein I can get the next method or properties like this. But say I'll go here, get base name, this workbook dot path. But if I'm using this late binding, I will not get this IntelliSense. That is the next methods or properties. So you can decide whichever method you want, right? So this is how I'll be creating this Microsoft scripting runtime or the create object method for creating this file system objects. The next chapter we'll see how we can use this FSO, that is file system objects, to work on the drives. Okay. Thank you for watching this video. If you like this video, please like, share and subscribe. Thanks once again.